Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
It was nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.
Welcome to hour number 3. It's a Monday. It's the first day of a new month. It's July. It's NBA free agency. So let's not bury the lead here in hour 3. Our coach, JY, James Young, sticks around for breaking news out of the association. From FanDuel TV's Shams Charania, as we discussed just a couple of minutes ago, the Oklahoma City Thunder have a new man to roam the paint. Isaiah Hartenstein and OKC agreeing to a 3-year, $87 million deal to now become a member of the Thunder. Of course, spent the past few seasons with the New York Knicks. He makes his way to this Thunder organization. JY, you said he was a missing piece to help Chet Holmgren down low, to dominate the glass as he did for the New York Knicks. What do you make of the deal, the figures, and what Hartenstein will bring to the Oklahoma City Thunder?
It's a fantastic deal for Isaiah Hartenstein to get this kind of money. Listen, I had a feeling when Nick Claxton got 4 for $100 that I didn't think there was a way the Knicks could bring him back unless they found some kind of crazy maneuverability, which they weren't going to be able to do. So getting him 3 years for $87 million gives is generational money for Isaiah, a guy that just came off a 2-year, $16 million deal from the New York Knicks. What he brings, folks, if you haven't watched enough New York Knicks basketball, toughness, tenacity. He's got a sneaky little floater at the, little teardrop floater that he likes to shoot with a push shot with his left hand. But he's also secretly one of the better defenders and rim protectors in the NBA. Ask Donnie about the block he had on Tyrese Maxey in Game 2 of the first round of Eastern Conference quarterfinals. But also, he's also one of the best rebounders in the NBA. People thought about Richard Robinson. Isaiah Hartenstein's numbers, look what he even did in the playoffs with some of his rebounding numbers. This is a big missing piece to an Oklahoma City Thunder team because my biggest concern with them is I don't want Chet as a 5. Chet as a 5 is going to get bully balled. The new modern way of the NBA, if you can make it work, is have a 5 that can protect the lane, block shots and rebound, and then a 4 that is your weak side shot blocker, weak side rebounder, stretch out and shoot the ball from 3, like a Chet Holmgren, like a Jaren Jackson Jr., like if he ever did it the right way, a Karl Anthony Towns. That's the way you win in the NBA if you go big, big. A big that can protect, a big that can block shots to the weak side and shoot the ball from 3.
Coach, some people out here actually saying, though, Hartenstein signed there with OKC because he saw what the Philadelphia 76ers were building, and I rightfully stand on that side of history here. But let's take a look at what the Thunder have been doing. You take a look, Coach, at that young team that we're starting to take a look and say, the plane has landed, now it's time to win an NBA championship. They also add Alex Caruso as well. Talk about that veteran guidance of now you get that mix of, okay, we got the young, smooth talent, but now we got some veterans here that will really mix it up for us and play good defense.
You know, the amazing thing is, guys, is to me, the best way to say it is they got adults in the room. They got adults in the room. And they got a Caruso that is not only one of the best defenders in the perimeter, he's also someone that shoots the ball 40% from three. So to me, you start to, when you get to this point, to pick and choose who you bring in to fill your roster. They didn't need to go get a Paul George. They didn't know get a Klay Thompson. They need to get a center and they need to get a defender. And they did it. And it's still a team that their window, guys, let's be honest, it's just starting to open. This is going to be the beginning of, it could be a great 5-6 year run in Oklahoma City. Getting these two guys lengthens the team and makes it way more dangerous. And the best part about it, when it comes to playoff time, they can defend better and they can rebound better.
It also saw immediate market movement. The Oklahoma City Thunder, who had the third best price to win the West, ever so slightly behind Minnesota, now the second best and only ever so slightly behind Denver. The Nuggets, the favorites at plus 360, OKC plus 380. Minnesota, third best price to win the Western Conference crown, plus 450. And we talked about the market movement following Paul George signing in Philly. The Sixers, the third best price at plus 850 by themselves. No longer. The Thunder tied for that third best mark at plus 850. Isaiah Hartenstein, a market mover. At least he is helping the sum of the parts in Oklahoma City. What might the market do when Klay Thompson signs somewhere else or in a sign and trade deal is agreed to? Some potential suitors for Klay. Both teams in Los Angeles, the Dallas Mavericks, have been in the mix as well, even in conversations, maybe joining many others in Philadelphia. So JY remains. I don't know if JY's ever been here for an FTP, but we want to hear from you. Where will Klay Thompson land? Where is his next spot in the NBA? That was the question in Fade the Public. At SportsGrid on Twitter, which team will Klay Thompson sign with? The 76ers, the Clippers, the Lakers, or the Mavericks? And right now, the winners of this poll, more than 200 votes bright and early on a Monday morning, 46.5% going with the LA Lakers. JY, did you get a chance to vote? Or if you didn't, what would you do live?
Kevin Walsh voted about 35 times for the Lakers, so we know this thing is already skewed and it's off the rails. Me, guys, I like Dallas. If you look at what happened in the NBA Finals, and we talked about it, man, they got outshot. You got to be able to defend the three and shoot the ball from three. Klay Thompson, as a catch-and-shoot three-point marksman, I know he's been off, is still one of the best. To me, the one that makes the most sense, and I think he goes, it's going to be Dallas in a sign and trade.
I think I'm with that as well, because you take a look at the Lakers at close to 47%. Of course, it's always LeBron reaching out at this point, but also let's talk about like what Klay Thompson can actually provide to a team, because can he be that missing piece in the starting lineup? I don't think so, but if he can give you 15 to 20 minutes off the bench and give you instant offense, it makes the most sense. So if you were Klay Thompson and his agent, let's just say, forget about even like, all right, I won 4 championships here. I just want to find the best spot for me to get the most playing time. Where would you send your client at this point, Coach?
Honestly, it could be the Clippers with the opening that they have. The thing is if you're talking about a sign and trade, guys, that it takes 2 to tango. If I'm the Warriors, I'm not sending them to the Lakers. I'm not sending them to the Clippers. I mean, I don't even want to send them to the West. But at least Dallas is east of those two teams. So to me, if I have a choice of where I'm sending them, it's going to be Dallas. And I think that's part of what you're going to see here is they have to work together. Whoever Klay wants to sign with or be traded to, and the Warriors. It takes 2 to tango to make this work. I think, to me, it still says Dallas, but the best spot for him playing time would be the Clippers.
So, JY, DRS was talking about this earlier in the show, and the idea that Klay Thompson is not returning to Golden State. It's the end of an era, 13 seasons up near San Francisco, alongside Steph, alongside Dre as well, for 12 of the 13. 4 NBA championships in that run, a 5-time NBA All-Star. But Donnie said you don't pay based on nostalgia. Well, there will be many, many fond memories of Klay Thompson in a Golden State uniform. In terms of his next destination, what does Klay still have left in the tank? Would it move the market like we have just seen with Isaiah Hartenstein?
It'll move the market a little bit if it goes to the Lakers because of the ability to shoot the ball. Is it going to move it more than 50 cents, maybe $1? Probably that's it. The thing that's interesting to watch is how Golden State moves from here. There's already talk of Andrew Wiggins being not allowed to play on the Olympic team for Canada because they're trying to move him. Golden State right now is 20-1 to come out of the West. I think their number is going to start falling. I think the Grizzlies pass him and the Pelicans pass him. If he goes to the Clippers, then maybe the Clippers pass him as well. But the end of an era is here for Golden State. But a Klay Thompson that has the ability to knock down shots should be enough to help any team he goes to.
I mean, it is fascinating. At points throughout the last 3 to 5 NBA seasons, in the offseason, in the summer months, the Lakers, Warriors, and Clippers, 3 of the 5 best prices to win the West almost annually. Now 20-1, 15-1, and 30-1 for LA after Paul George goes to Philly. JY, a fadeaway to the break after an extended time on the early line. Thanks. More TL next.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can he be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just
Sometimes
did.
The bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on the Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. You know, he was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey. Right?
I guess
Get on
so.
the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Confirmed inside Arrowhead Stadium tonight in Kansas City.
Beautiful.
It is a game that will make or break the United States men's national team's hopes in Copa America here in 2024. To get you set to describe what is on the line and how the match will look between the U.S. and Uruguay, the Ringer's Anthony Dabbundo joins us here on this Monday on the early line. Anthony, we say thank you once again for talking soccer with us. Your performance last time has so invigorated Donnie Rightside that he is going to stay up past 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight to watch the match between the U.S. and Uruguay in KC. So job well done, my friend.
I mean, it's really exciting. And, it's not the result the U.S. certainly wanted against Panama, but it does set up a really fun inflection point. And I said last week on the show that, can the U.S. get a marquee win in this tournament? One they have not really had under Greg Berhalter? Well, they better win tonight or else the tournament's likely over. And Berhalter's job is going to be really hanging in the balance here. And he's been facing a lot more questions than he normally does about his job security since Thursday.
So there is so much on the line tonight. Storylines, narratives, and of course the result that Team USA needs to advance into the round of 16 or the knockout round at Copa America. So, Anthony, let's start there. As we look at the match money line for tonight, USA a slight favorite in the 90-minute match bet that you see on your screen. Uruguay not all that far behind in the draw, plus 223. Prices separated by just 70 cents. Anthony, how do you describe the stakes for tonight in Kansas City?
So the match is flipped toward the United States in the last 5 days. Before the Panama match, there were look-ahead lines that had the United States as a small underdog, roughly flipped from what they are now. Uruguay was around plus 150, USA around plus 190. Now, the market is baking in that Uruguay doesn't have a ton to play for here. They really just need to not lose by 3+ goals to win the group. So there is some expected potential rotation. Maybe in the second half, Uruguay pulls some of their guys. They don't go all in for this game. There is a motivational advantage for the U.S. The market tends to overcorrect for these things, and I kind of think it has here because all the reports out of the Uruguayan report camp are that they're going to play 10 of the 11 guys that they started in their win against Bolivia on Thursday. And now manager Marcelo Bielsa, a legend of the game, kind of a master tactician, kind of this all-in energy guy who inspires his team to press a lot. They're very aggressive out of possession. They're not a team that you would typically expect to really dial it back. So I don't know that the U.S. is going to benefit really too much from Uruguay having only maybe in third gear, having their foot not quite on the pedal. That's just not really how Bielsa coaches his teams. So I do expect a full-bore Uruguay, especially in the first half, to go at the United States. And it creates an interesting matchup because we saw the U.S. play Colombia in the pre-tournament friendly. They really struggled to deal with Colombia's pressure out of possession. U.S. gave the ball away a ton in its own half, and that led to disaster. They lost 5-1. The U.S. has to be better in possession. Their center backs, especially Chris Richards, somebody who has performed well in the Premier League, has not looked great at this tournament. I think him and kind of the other defensive midfielders have a really tall task tonight against this Uruguay pressure.
Anthony, if we take a look here at the way the tournament's set up, and I like the fact that, technically I don't like the fact that they're both at 9 o'clock, but I understand why they're going side by side. What are some of the tiebreakers today between Panama and the United States on who actually gets to advance, let's just say, if we do have a tie in both games?
Yeah, so the U.S. is going to hold most tiebreakers. They have a 2-goal difference advantage over Panama right now. So the U.S., to make it most simple, essentially just has to match the result of Panama. So if Panama ties against Bolivia, the U.S. just needs a tie. If Panama wins, the U.S. needs to win. There is a scenario where the U.S. wins by, say, 1 goal and Panama wins by 3 or 4, where Panama would overtake them on goal difference. But most scenarios, it's simple. If the U.S. wins and Panama wins, the U.S. is going to advance. If they just match the result or beat the result of Panama, they will win. Of course, Bolivia in this tournament have looked pretty poor, conceded 7, scored none. But even pre-tournament, the Panamanians and Bolivians were not all that different in the market in terms of odds to come out of this group. And Panama's best player is suspended for the red card challenge against Christian Pulisic in the last match. So I don't think it's going to be too easy for Panama. I think, it depends on what Bolivia is willing to give. They're already basically eliminated, so you never can count on that. But you've seen crazier things happen in these kind of tournaments.
Mexico did not advance out of the group stage yesterday at Copa America. Team USA in danger of doing the same tonight against Uruguay. Anthony, I don't want to be pessimistic here, but let's say the result is not good tonight for the Americans and they do not get out of the group. What sweeping changes would you expect for the United States men's national team?
I have come to expect nothing in terms of change from the United States men's national team. Look, you have to go back to when Berhalter was ultimately suspended for an investigation that was into, backroom stuff involving Gio Reyna's parents and whatnot. He was ultimately cleared, but his contract ran out while he was under investigation. So they had to re-sign him. They hired a search firm who came back with the best option being Greg Berhalter. A lot of people were very unenthused by the fact that he was brought back after a relatively successful World Cup. I mean, they made it out of the group and played competitively with England and the Netherlands, two teams that have considerably superior talent. So it wasn't a bad World Cup for the United States. But I think people just say, hey, did he do enough to deserve a second cycle? Most times managers will get one full World Cup cycle, and then you usually look to move on unless things are going really, really well. I don't know that Berhalter had justified a second term in that way. And now this is the big inflection point. The World Cup is the biggest event U.S. soccer's hosted basically ever. 48-team World Cup coming to the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And this is their last chance to get big matches because the U.S. is going to play Panama and Canada and other teams in friendlies between now and then. But it's very hard for them to get matchups with South America and Europe, where most of the best teams are, because they're locked into qualifying in their own continent. So there's not a lot of open dates to get big matches. So this match is kind of the big one. Panama's minus 160 to advance, U.S. plus 130. So I think the market is higher on the U.S. than the sentiment right now.
Yeah, that would seem to be the case. All eyes on Arrowhead Stadium tonight in Kansas City. Anthony laid out what was at stake and what is on the line for Team USA versus Uruguay tonight. Simultaneously, of course, the match between Panama and Bolivia. Anthony Dabbundo from The Ringer, we appreciate the time on this Monday. A great breakdown here on the early line. Donnie, right side, fire up. Oh, there it is. The kid, the shirt. More free agency talk next.
Whoa.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just
Sometimes
did.
the bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on the Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. He was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey. Right?
I guess
Get
so.
on the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Some more free agency news on this Monday morning, live right here on the early line. Within the last half hour, the Oklahoma City Thunder signed Isaiah Hartenstein for a 3-year deal worth $87 million. A missing piece, perhaps, on the defensive side of the floor and on the glass in OKC, a market mover. Tyrese Maxey got his big deal this morning, too. 5 years worth $205 million. It's an exciting day, DRS, in Philadelphia because of the acquisitions, what has been added, what has been retained, and then, of course, what has been subtracted as well. Tobias Harris no longer in Philly after the past 5.5 years with the Sixers organization. He returns to the Motor City, where he spent 1.5 years of his 12-year NBA career with the Detroit Pistons. This news just coming down the wire. 2-year deal worth $52 million for Tobias Harris to return to Detroit.
Nobody understands why Tobias Harris is getting paid all this money, but he is. So congratulations to his agent, his family. They are the big winners here. And also to that Detroit franchise that probably won't win 30 games this season. Hopefully get that ROI back for Tobias Harris. But shout out the NBA here for helping us out. Like, we only have a 3-game card today in Major League Baseball. So what do they do, Ben? Go 6 p.m. on a Sunday night where you can really fire up that, free agency machine / trade / signing and all that stuff. So they've given us a lot to talk about. But Tobias Harris getting over $50 million for 2 years on a team like the Philadelphia 76ers he just came from, which, again, you've watched me play this out all along. Like, the fact that it was like, I can't wait till the Sixers lose because I never have to watch this guy again. And then he went out and got $50 million. But the best part is, he'll be like, oh, wow, how about that? OKC gave him $50 million. That they could be a rotational guy. He went to a dead franchise that basically said, well, we do have a salary cap that we have to spend up against. Who can we pay? Oh, look, Tobias Harris, just go sign him. So we'll still tank next year and get a top 5 pick and see what happens here. I don't know how he's getting paid, but he's getting paid. Congratulations.
Yeah. By the end of this deal, again, 2 years, $52 million, he will have made more than $300 million in career earnings in his NBA career. 12 years now in the association. He'll have 2 more, at least we would expect, in the Motor City. We had 6 guys on this free agent focus board just about an hour ago. Now we're down by half, 3 removed. Isaiah Hartenstein and Tyrese Maxey included in this as well. So 3 free agents to keep an eye on. 1 that we actually expect will return to his organization. LeBron James opted out, but with all intention of returning to LA. It would be the most comical thing maybe in the history of sports, not just the NBA, if the Lakers draft Bronny at 55 overall and then LeBron James leaves somewhere else this summer.
Now, and here's the best part about it, too, is LeBron James knows how to be in the spotlight and stay in the spotlight. We've all known that LeBron James is going to opt out of his contract and opt back into the Los Angeles Lakers. But I still like the way, the big networks sometimes report this stuff, like breaking news. LeBron James opted out, knowing damn well we know why he opted out, because he's going to opt back in, as opposed to just blowing by. Like, yeah, LeBron James opted out, but he's opting back in. Like, it was big news all the way. But also, what's going to take him so long from signing here? We didn't know for, 2 years this date was coming, how much money LeBron James is supposed to get, knowing he will opt in because that's what he does. Like, what are we actually waiting for here? Are we going to wait 24, 48 hours and sort of somebody put that report out from his camp? Hey, let's have some fun here. Throw it out there, LeBron's having second thoughts. And then ESPN will break down coverage from starting noon, no matter what's going on, and just go 24/7 from LeBron James's front lawn here. We know LeBron James opted out. He's going to opt in. They might get Klay Thompson. They won't win anything. End of story. How about that?
I think it's maybe just the financials to see what else the Lakers can add this offseason. That would be my guess on the holdup. We showed you the potential suitors you believe Klay Thompson will go to. The Lakers ran away with the Fade the Public poll. Maybe the Dallas Mavericks in the mix as well. I expect Klay to go to L.A. And DeMar DeRozan on the board. The Bulls have had a very difficult time trading Zach LaVine. They have focused a lot on being win now, despite hardly winning. It's going to be a bad year in the Windy City. We saw Andre Drummond leave yesterday for Philadelphia. Alex Caruso traded to OKC. The Bulls should tank. The Bulls should be bad so they can be involved in the lottery of what is expected to be a robust 2025 NBA draft.
Yeah, but the Bulls should never be bad. Like, I understand you're not going to have that 90s run like you have with Michael Jordan, but doesn't it feel like, Ben, 25 straight years of just stinking every year outside of maybe a year or two with Derrick Rose? That should never be the case in the Windy City. That is a travesty that team stinks every year, it feels like.
Jerry Reinsdorf, we are looking at you from the NBA to the WNBA. A doubleheader tonight up next.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can he be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just
Sometimes
did.
the bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. You know, he was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey. Right?
I guess
Get
so.
on the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
A doubleheader of action tonight in the WNBA. Only two games and both start at 10 p.m. Eastern time as they are out on the West Coast. Oh, no. Go ahead.
Yeah,
WNBA Commissioner Donnie Rightside, floor is yours.
Now, hold on. Like, because, I mean, it really slipped by us here when I was getting to read about what was taking place in soccer. Both games at 9 o'clock. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. But we're not playing this like the Copa America in like Argentina, Brazil, where you're trying to somewhat cater to their time zone or whatever they want. Like the USA is hosting this and Team USA is playing at 9 o'clock. Like, I don't understand that. And then you just told me we're taking a look at two WNBA games where we have three Major League Baseball games where you can put those games on at 7 o'clock or earlier. And by the way, 10 o'clock and 10 o'clock, like a lot of people will be watching soccer here. But if you would have had everything to yourself at 7 o'clock, what are we doing here, Ben? Like, I've seen WNBA games at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can't put one of those games at 7 p.m. on national TV and people are like, wow, I really like to watch this. This is quite fun. Instead, you bury them at 10 o'clock and then you bury soccer at 9 o'clock. Do we honestly hate ratings? I guess the lower the ratings, the more money you make is the way to do it now these days.
It is 7 p.m. Pacific, right? Local time, both in Phoenix and in Seattle. Pretty sure the Mercury in Phoenix right now with daylight savings is 3 hours behind in the Eastern time zone at this moment. Could you have started those games earlier in their local time zones? Maybe so, to get a better WNBA viewership draw in what has been a historic first month and a half or so of this WNBA season. I digress, though. I'm not the commissioner. Neither is Donnie Rightside. So we start with a game between the Sun And the Mercury out in Phoenix yesterday. The Mercury at home is a 7.5-point favorite against the Fever, lose by 6. Phoenix still playing pretty good basketball, though, as of late, especially with the return of Brittany Griner. It's just a 3-point spread in favor of the Sun on the road tonight in one of my favorite areas to always look for a Connecticut game. 158.5, a low total with the best defensive team in the sport.
Yeah, by the way, and nothing short of sensation here. Brittany Griner, since coming back here from being injured, I mean, you take a look at the points per game per season, right around 20 points, rebounds per game 7, assists per game 2. She's been really good, but also you're sort of jockeying for position as you go along. What is it, 12 teams in the WNBA, 8 teams make the playoffs. So even though you see the Mercury at 9-9, if the season ended today, they would be in. And certainly, I do think they're getting better, even though taking a loss yesterday there to the Fever certainly doesn't help out the kind, but we'll see what happens tonight. And the analysis for me, very upsetting because it's a 10 o'clock game, so I can't have analysis on this, Ben, and then figure I'm going to be able to watch it through and see how it turns out. Tough scene.
Yeah. Listen, I'm sorry for you as well. Connecticut, one of 3 teams in the WNBA that have at least 14 wins. The Liberty 16-3, Connecticut 14-4, the Minnesota Lynx 14-4 in the regular season record. Indiana yesterday with the victory over Phoenix had completed its 20th game of the year. The Fever now in the 8th spot at 8-12. Of course, 8 teams make it to the WNBA postseason out of this 12-team league. So we're almost at the halfway point. We're just about 2 weeks away from the Olympic break this summer as they will go play for their respective countries over in Paris. So this is an important time in this WNBA regular season. I like to look for Connecticut tonight, back-to-back for Phoenix. I would expect the game to stay under. And also, yesterday, not the best from one of the best scorers in the W, and for Phoenix, Kalia Copper for the Mercury. Only 7 points yesterday. Her points prop today, 19.5. The odds makers expecting a bounce back. So do I. So the other game of the doubleheader out in the Northwest, the Seattle Storm, an 11.5-point favorite against the Dallas Wings. For most of the year, DRS, we looked at the Washington Mystics as the WNBA's worst team. They were 0-12 to start the year. They're still not great, but they've won 4 of their last 7, now 4-14. There are 3 teams in the W with just 4 wins. The Sticks, as we just shared, the LA Sparks without Cameron Brink. Things have been a tough go to begin this season. And the Dallas Wings at 4-14 as well, and Dallas has dropped 9 of its last 10. It's why we see the double-digit spread in favor, of the Storm tonight in Seattle.
Yeah, certainly leaking oil, no doubt about it. And yes, a heavy favorite on the edge of that. And also, you're taking a look at parity in the WNBA. There is a bit of it there, but still, if you're going to be pulling up the rear with 4 wins in the WNBA, you're not going to make it into the top 8 here. And certainly, you're taking a look at a game against the Storm tonight with a favorite close to, I mean, who knows, by the time game time hits at 10 o'clock, approaching maybe 2 touchdowns here. Should be an easy victory for the Storm tonight. And 4-15, not a great look here for the Wings.
Yeah, not at all. Arike Agumbawale is there for Dallas. Always keep an eye on her 3-point props, on her points props. She was, through the first 15 games or so of this WNBA season, the league's leading scorer. Now, that is Asia Wilson. Last year, the league's leading scorer, Drew Lloyd, for Seattle, starts to look the billing as of late. 34-30 in back-to-back games for Seattle. The Storm have won 3 in a row. Seattle now this year, 12-6. Donnie, when we looked at the early offseason odds entering the WNBA campaign on opening night, it was still the battle of the two teams that faced off last year in that WNBA Finals series. That would be the Aces, who won back-to-back titles, and the New York Liberty. 1 and 2, short in comparison to everybody else. Seattle was the team with the third best price to win the WNBA championship, and they got off to a slow start this year at 1-3. From that point, they've gone 11-3. They are playing really good basketball. They are one of 5 teams in the WNBA with double-digit wins and the 4th best record. And despite having the 5th best price now at 10-1, still expected to be a contender. It is why Seattle is a double-digit favorite tonight.
Yeah, and absolutely there. And if you take a look at those odds as they're shaping up, let's just say the top 6 teams. I include the 6 because I do think the Phoenix Mercury are at 9-9, much better than what their record says they are, because they do have some superstar talent to play with. So you take a look at the Aces, the Storm, the Lynx, the Sun, and the Liberty, certainly those upper echelon teams. And also, if you're looking for fun, if the season ended today, you do have the Indiana Fever in, but wouldn't it be nice if somehow the Chicago Sky can also sneak into the playoffs? But then again, they only have 6 wins, so they would have to jump the 8-win Fever, the 7-win Dream to try to make that happen. I don't know if they will, but it looks like the way things are shaping up, we probably will get at least one of those teams, Ben, being the Dream, or excuse me, being the Fever and the Sky that are going to make the playoffs here. So at least we get one of those true young superstar talents here at that rookie level.
And listen, Indiana has really found their footing. Already 20 games into this year. Of course, it was the 11-game and 20-day stretch run that was a sprint to start off this WNBA season. Indiana was 2-9, often placed in marquee matchups against the Sun, the Liberty, the Aces to begin to put Caitlin Clark on that national stage. And it was a struggle. From that point, including the upset yesterday in Phoenix, Indiana has won 6 of its last 9 games, and currently, with that 8-12 record, 8th best in the WNBA, and minus 215 to make the WNBA playoffs. And there is always going to be the look at the Rookie of the Year odds. The number has shortened on Caitlin Clark, but is still in heavy minus money at minus 600. I don't think we need to directly compare at all points. We can celebrate both who have had incredibly successful and historic WNBA rookie years, that being Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But you still look at Caitlin as that hefty odds-on favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Something drastic would have to happen in her performance in this year, in Indiana's outlook, for Clark not to win the Rookie of the Year award.
And the interesting part about it, too, is, again, it's sometimes the betting markets are going to fluctuate just based on the amount of money that's being placed, let's just say, at the beginning of the season on Caitlin Clark, because you're not saying to yourself, well, yeah, Caitlin Clark's putting up numbers and some historic things. Angel Reese is doing the exact same thing in the double-doubles market here. So it's not as if it's like a charity case where you say, oh, plus 4-1, she's interesting, so we'll just keep her up there. She's played extremely well here for the Chicago Sky, but also, I always talk about, Ben, those extracurriculars. If you do have the Indiana Fever with a better record and make it into the playoffs here as a rookie guard here for Caitlin Clark, you're going to get that added bump on top of the Chicago Sky, who have Angel Reese and maybe missing the playoffs. But each one of those, it's deserving of a rookie of the award. But I think I give it to Caitlin Clark.
MLB breakdowns up next.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can it be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just
Sometimes
did.
the bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. He was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey, right?
I guess
Get
so.
on the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Only 3 games around this Monday Major League Baseball card. We were all kind of scratching our heads as to the reasons why. And then Donnie Rightside provided some potential clarity. Of course, with July 4th upcoming on Thursday, the holiday weekend, America's birthday, America's pastime. They want everybody out there on the diamond on July 4th. So it does really check out, DRS.
Yes, it does. And by the way, I was checking out some of that July 4th action. I believe some of those games starting around 11 o'clock. So an all-day affair. We're going to be watching baseball. We're going to be eating hot dogs. Maybe Kevin Walsh won't be doing that, but everybody else who's American will be doing that. And we'll have some fun on that day and make sure everybody plays. So there you go.
You know, we're always looking for news to break down here on the show. Yeah. Of course, you think in the next 3 days we're going to get final confirmation on Joey Chestnut. Of course, right now, not scheduled to compete and defend the mustard belt.
Oh.
What?
Whoa.
Oh, we just got some. I'm not sure if everybody heard that.
It was that on the air.
There was just an awkward pause. Did that come out over the air? Did that come out over the air? Joe Frieso's an on-air guy now. Okay, so it did not. So Joey Chestnut is not going to compete. I still think it's all publicity. I still think if I turn on my TV on Thursday and on the corner of Surf and Stillwell on Coney Island here in the greater New York City area, I don't see the 16-time mustard belt champ, I might turn it off right away. I'll be so ashamed.
Maybe we can get some. Maybe he got game. They can do a little reenactment. Denzel come back to town. Jesus Shuttlesworth. I mean, they've been roaming around Coney Island for years.
Wow.
Maybe they'll fill it. You know what I mean? How about Denzel Washington in a hot dog eating contest with Ray Allen to make up for Joey Chestnut? But by the way, I got a bone to pick here. But we can make this right. You got to eat the hot dogs whole, Ben, for this year, and it would be massive ratings.
Different,
massive
ratings. Massive ratings. Listen, one of my favorite things about Coney Island is that you can walk the boardwalk with a beer and nobody says anything. My second favorite thing about Coney Island, going to a Brooklyn Cyclones game. That's the minor league affiliate, I think at the single A level of the New York Mets. What an electric time that is out on. Okay.
Like, I got one quick question about Coney Island here, which I don't, because you know how you see like we're in New Jersey, like we go down the shore and they always take pictures like the beach. Do people swim at Coney Island? Like, I've never figured this out because I've never heard anybody go, I'm going to Coney Island to swim, and it's on TV. Like, I never see it ever. It's a nice beach there. What's
people
wrong?
do swim. People do swim. It's a rowdy crowd. I'll just say that.
Wow.
There's a lot of action happening at Coney Island. I'm not sure I would jump in the water to get in the Atlantic on Coney Island, but some people do, and more power to them. All right, just a 3-game Major League Baseball slate on this Monday. We start with one of the hottest teams in MLB right now. The Astros, speaking of those Mets, take 2 of 3 at Citi Field this weekend, including a victory yesterday in 11 innings in extras 10-5 to win its 42nd game of the year. Houston now above 500, a winning record for the first time this season. Last week, they got to 500 for the first time after taking 2 of 3 up in Queens, above 500 for the first time. Now they go up north to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays, minus 142. The number in favor of the Stros and Hunter Brown, total at 8.5 there in Toronto.
Yeah, let's go. Astros again. Take the fork out of them, and maybe they're going to be that new special sauce out there on the West Coast, or should I say to win the American League West. Look at Hunter Brown here. Struggled to start the season. Ben, if we just take a look at 60 days, 5-1 overall through 10 games started, 57 in the third innings pitched. How about an ERA of 2.20? I know most people don't care about that, but that's just the bench line here, or baseline. XFIP number, 3.25. Tremendous. Take a look at his last 30 days. ISO power numbers, 090 between lefties and righties combined. 241 weighted on base percentage. Strikeout percentage, if you include the last 121 batters he's faced, that's at 30%. He's been tremendous. And also, so many times you're trying to handicap a game with an opener, which is what Yariel Rodriguez is going to be here for Toronto. I give the advantage to the Houston Astros playing good baseball and have the better pitcher on the mound today. They should be able to pick up the win, even though they're on the road once again.
Yeah, they certainly are, but that would be 10 of the last 11 if Houston is victorious today in Toronto, booked as the favored side. A debut today in Major League Baseball for the Nationals' top prospect at home hosting the New York Mets, James Wood. And I was half listening, I'll be honest, to what you were saying there, DRS, because I had to figure out if the native of only Maryland Olney, Maryland, not all that far away from D.C., is true. He's 6'7". 6'7", James Wood, the 21-year-old, called up and acquired in the Juan Soto trade from San Diego 2 summers ago. Third-ranked prospect in the Major League Baseball pipeline makes his debut today against the New York Mets. 6'7", 234. It's a dead even pick'em now at -108 both sides.
Yeah, it should be. And like sometimes I just want to lean with the Mets here at this point. And the reason saying that, you take a look at the lineup today for the Nationals, struggles against left-handed pitching, particularly over the past 30 days. Peterson's not a great pitcher, though. For the last 60 days, decent ERA, though, Ben. 3.67 overall, but his xFIP number closer to 5, which is usually that danger zone. Now, here's the interesting part, something that we didn't talk about all that much for the Mets over the first 60 days of the season. But how about the last 30 days? They have been absolutely incredible, which is rare against left-handed pitching. Take a look at the first 8 batters in the lineup that we're anticipating, just the weighted on base percentages. Keep in mind, 320 or higher is what you're shooting for. 479, 401, 419, 443, 354, 354, 400, and 587. This is a grimace-looking lineup today. So having said that, I don't like either one of these pitchers particularly a ton, but if you're going to give me one lineup that is absolutely smashing left-handed pitching, it's the Mets. That's as good a lineup as you are going to find on a 30-day stretch from a left-handed pitcher ever. That's tremendous.
After the Mets took the opener against the Astros on Friday night at home, they were above 500 for the first time since the middle of April. They dropped the last 2 against the Stros, but despite dropping the last 2 in June and the first 2 in June, New York was 16-8 this previous month. And still since scrimmage throughout the first pitch, now nearly 3 Wednesdays ago at Citi Field, 12-4. Can the New York June Mets and the New York Grimace Mets continue those trends into the month of July? One more game to break down in baseball tonight at Coors. Total 11.5 between Milwaukee and Colorado. We'll do that next with the best bet on the other side of the break. You're on the early line.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
Can it be a guy that's really useful in your fantasy rotation? I think the answer is yes.
Game time decisions.
I'm going to lose the bet because he's injured again.
Betting above the rim.
He's got a broke J. That's all there is to it. He's got no confidence in that jump shot.
My thing you've always heard me say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Wondering when that was going to happen, and the answer is it just did.
The bigger guy will have the advantage. Well, if the little guy can move, Joe, it's hard to hit the little guy sometimes when you're a big boy, right?
In-game live, prime time.
40-1, I'm going to take a little flyer on Justin Rose.
In-game live, overtime.
As you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. You know, he was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I mean, here's the question. I know hockey players are pretty superstitious. Do they start to ask themselves the question of being like, we signed Corey Perry? We did what?
No.
We signed Corey Perry? Good news, boys. We're going to the Cup Finals. Bad news, boys. We're losing.
At some point, you got to win one for Corey. Right?
I guess
Get
so.
on the team and like, wow, this guy, we gotta win one here.
The Bostonian versus the book.
A matchup tonight in Coors Field is the nightcap of only 3 games on this Monday in Major League Baseball. Again, oftentimes Monday, not a full slate following the weekend. A couple of teams are off. Thursday, kind of the same thing. Getaway day, a travel day for the weekend. The reason there's only a few games today is because we have a full slate on Thursday. That's July 4th, of course, America's pastime on America's B-Day. So the third and final in Denver. At Mile High, it's the Rockies hosting the Brewers, minus 156, the number in favor of Milwaukee. And anytime we break down a game inside Coors, 11.5, we focus on that total. Offense expected tonight at altitude?
Yeah, we should be getting runs today. And also keep in mind, sometimes you take a look at much like Wrigley Field, Ben. Hey, what are the weather conditions? Not necessarily with wind, but what the temperatures are. 87 degrees at first pitch, around 5-mile-an-hour wind blowing out. So it should help. And also, we don't have 2 dominant pitchers by any stretch on the mound today. Austin Gomber and Bryce Wilson, both of those guys are hittable. Now, if we are looking at a lineup that probably projects a little bit better, it's probably coming from the Colorado Rockies side, going up against right-handed pitching over the past 30 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in that lineup with ISO power numbers at a 165 or higher. That should help. Now let's flip it over to the other side here and take a look at Milwaukee at the plate. Austin Gomber is not a great pitcher. If I just told you, like, he's got average numbers, 49 2/3 innings pitched over the past 60 days, an ERA close to 5, but an xFIP number on 4.46, which again isn't great by any stretch. Take a look at his last 30 days if we're taking a look at ISO power numbers and weighted on base percentages. 230 ISO, 417 weighted on base percentage over his last 108 batters if we take the lefties and righties and combine them together. However, here's where some of the issues creep in here if we're looking at the Brewers. Now, granted, I told you, I still think we're getting runs because Gomber's not a great pitcher, but left-handed scenarios for the Brewers over the past 30 days, take a look at this. Joey Ortiz, sensational. 27 at-bats against lefties, 318 ISO, 453 weighted on base percentage. Every single person below him, which is the final 8 batters, all below par on ISO power numbers. So theoretically, the better offense is coming from Colorado. I know they're not a good baseball team, not supposed to win these, but I can't pass up that plus money here. Don't love the game, but I'm certainly not going to lay minus 150, minus 160 with Milwaukee in this game today.
Yeah, the Brew Crew did take the weekend from the Chicago Cubs, 50-34, Milwaukee's record, a 6.5 game lead over the Cardinals. The Redbirds, the only other team in the National League Central above 500. St. Louis has played some great baseball since the start of June as well. So now before we say farewell and we say goodbye, it is time for a best bet on this Monday. It is time for Bye, Bye, Bye. We got some time to kill here on the back end. DRS, what is the best bet on this Monday evening?
Should I go real fast and leave you with like 2 minutes to spin around and try to find and have some fun here?
I can do it
maybe not.
I hear I got to get used to it.
That's true. The last 10 with Ben. By the way, is that coming up sooner than later at this point? Could that be about a week's time? We'll find out. But yeah, go ahead.
You're the only guy that knows this updated summer schedule, by the way, but we'll save that and our viewers and listeners for another day. Go ahead, DRS.
Yeah, let me screenshot it and put it up there. Let me screenshot our new calendar here. Nah, we'll save that a little bit away. Let's go best bets here. We're going to go with the grimmest bets today, BSS, to get an RBI. I told you, this lineup looks fantastic against left-handed pitching. I'm going to go Francisco Alvarez, the catcher here in the 5-hole. Reason being, 4 guys ahead of him, all high ISOs, all high weighted on base percentage, which means a lot of people will be on base by the time he gets up. A 308 ISO and a 354 weighted on base percentage. His number, plus 175 to record an RBI. The grimmest Mets aren't done making me money. We should be able to cash in that ticket on Alvarez today to get an RBI.
You know why that bet is even more special on this Monday, July 1st? Donnie Rightside placing a bet on the New York Mets in honor of Bobby Bonilla Day once again. True. Donnie's favorite holiday should be a national holiday. He looks at the New York Mets. Well done, DRS. Well done indeed. I'll go to the doubleheader tonight in the WNBA. The Seattle Storm hosting the Dallas Wings. 11.5-point spread. Not exactly going to be the most competitive game. Dallas has dropped 9 of its last 10. But on the Wings, you see one of the best players in the WNBA, Arike Ogunbowale. Her points prop tonight, 22.5. But as of late, Jewel Lloyd, last year's WNBA leading scorer, has looked apart once again. 30-34 in back-to-back games. 21.5 is the prop for Lloyd. Dallas not great on the defensive side of the floor. Give me the over of 21.5 for Jewel Lloyd tonight. Quickly here, DRS. When we speak tomorrow, will the Americans have advanced at Copa America?
Yes, absolutely. They will have advanced, and they'll realize the error in their ways by never playing a 9 o'clock soccer game again. There you go.
A little give and take. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern.